Okay, we shall continue. Sir Philip Sidney was the earliest to condemn tragicomedy, calling it mongrel. Milton called it the poet's error of intermixing. Comic stuff with with the tragic sadness and gravity. Edison called it one of the most monstrous inventions that ever entered into a poet's thoughts. Their opposition was based on the principle of unity of action. Okay, so there are some of the critics or scholars. They said that tragic comedy is worst genre of drama, and no playwright can write a tragic comedy. Likewise, some writers, some critics said, and one among them is Sir Philip Sidney, and he condemned tragic comedy as mongrel. Okay, and Milton called John Milton called it tragicomedy as poet's error of intermixing comic stuff with tragic sadness and gravity, and that's how Milton condemned tragicomedy. He says that it is poet's mistake of intermixing tragedy and comedy, and because of that, the tragic intensity is reduced. Okay, that's what Milton says about tragicomedy, and Edsel says that it is one of the monstrous or devil or dangerous invention made by the poets. That's what Addison talks. That's what Addison says about tragicomedy. So Addison, John Milton, and Sir Philip Sidney, they say that tragicomedy is worst genre of English literature, and no one can write tragicomedy. Likewise, that's what these critics talk about tragicomedy. However, the most important reason why these critics say that tragicomedy is worst genre of literature, it is because they violated Aristotle's rule of unity of action. Okay, and he says that we cannot mix tragedy and comedy. Okay, that if see, there is a comedy scene, and in the very next scene we cannot introduce a comic scene, and if you introduce a comedy scene, if you introduce a tragic scene immediately after a comedy scene, then the intensity of comedy is also reduced, the intensity of tragedy is also reduced. And there is a comedy scene and we laugh, and very next scene the villain kills the heroine, then the intensity of comedy is also reduced, the intensity of tragedy is also reduced. So that is the most important reason Aristotle gave this rule, the unity of action. Okay, so for this reason critics say that the tragicomedy is the worst genre of English literature. However, Dryden and Dr. Johnson defended it. Dryden called it most pleasant way of writing for the stage than was known to ancient or moderns. And Dryden says that tragicomedy is a great genre of drama, and it is a pleasant or happy way of writing on the stage, which was unknown to ancient people. Okay, for in a drama, tragic comedy should be written. That's what Dryden says, and Dryden celebrates the genre tragic comedy. And Dr. Johnson also defended it, saying Johnson saw no impropriety in mixing pleasure with pain. And Dr. Johnson says that there is nothing wrong in mixing pleasure and pain. Okay, how Dr. Johnson defends tragicomedy is that in our life, there would be a mixture of tragedy and comedy. Morning we may be happy, afternoon we may be sad. Morning we may be sad, and afternoon we may be happy. This is what life. An individual, even a single day cannot have a complete tragedy or a complete happiness in individual's life. When an individual's life is so, there is nothing wrong for a playwright to present a tragic comedy on the stage. Okay, so that's how Dr. Johnson defends comedy, and in fact, tragicomedy does not produce a ludicrous mixture of tears and laughter, as some critics hold, but a delightful alliteration of interplay of the two. Okay, so Dr. Johnson says that as some critics said that the intensity of tragedy and comedy is reduced in a tragicomedy, some critics say so. It is not like that. In human life, it happens. In human life, both tragedy and comedy is mixed. That is the real. That is real human life. Not in an individual's life. From the beginning till his death, an individual's life is full of tragedy. From the beginning till his death, an individual's life is full of comedy or happiness. That is not human life. It is human life is mixture of both comedy and tragedy. Okay. Likewise, it should be well crafted and well presented. If this reality is well crafted and well presented, and by human life we can see human life in a tragic comedy. Okay, that's what that's how it is a kind of a delightful interplay of tragedy and comedy. That's what Dr. Johnson says about tragicomedy. He says that Dr. Johnson also says that tragicomedy is the best genre of English literature. The aesthetic possibility of this form can be seen from the fact that even Shakespeare made use of it successfully in some of his great plays. And the aesthetic possibilities, some critics say that the intensity is reduced. What they argue is perfect. What the argument is correct. Yet, if the playwright handles both comedy and tragedy beautifully with aesthetic value, then tragicomedy is going to be the greatest genre of English literature. Okay, so that's the end of this topic, tragicomedy. We shall continue the next topic in the next video. Thank you.